Waiting to pick up my girls from school, a couple parking lot thoughts, being an impactful coach, and the three keys to caring that really come to my mind when it comes to making a positive impact in the lives of others. If you're a basketball coach and you're truly in it for the right reasons. One, you got to care about the game. You can't be a coach who likes basketball, right? The deepest form of caring is love, and your players can tell if you really love what it is that you do. Right? If you're hungry for the game year round. When it's March, are you digging into college basketball, men's and women's? And when it's, the NBA playoffs, are you watching the NBA playoffs? Are you hungry to keep learning, to keep growing throughout the course of the year? You want to keep getting better, right? You're learning, you're asking questions to other coaches. Because players can tell if you really, really love the game. And this comes back to those dog days of the season. Anytime you're asking your players to do really hard things and then they look at you and say, you're not even that invested. You don't even love this game that much, yet you think you can demand so much of me. So you really absolutely have to care about the game deeply. That's number one. Number two is you have to care about the growth and the improvement, right? It's the difference between me going to a basketball camp and doing a shooting clinic and say, hey, here's our 4 phases of form shooting. Here's the keys that we want. Here's our 5 keys to shooting the basketball. Here's how we want our hands to be. Here's how our footwork's going to be. Here's some of the ball motion techniques and drills that we're going to do. And then I just let players do their thing. And I see a player whose hand placement is completely not centered on the ball, right? And they really have to use both hands to truly balance. Or I see another player whose footwork is extremely off balance, very inconsistent. And I see those things, and I don't say anything. I don't do anything. I just more like, hey, I told you what you're supposed to do it. That's someone who cares about the game, but doesn't care about the growth of the person, right? Someone who really cares about the growth and the improvement, they're going to go to that player and they're going to talk about, hey, I think it's a good idea. Let's change our hand placement a little bit, and here's why, right? Going to a player and say, hey, tell me about your footwork on this, right? Well, how have you been taught to use your feet getting ready for and preparing for a shot? What are some of the things that we think we can do a little bit better with our feet? So that's an example of caring about the growth and the improvement of the individual or the team. And then the third one is the most obvious and most important one, and that's caring about the person. Really, really caring about the person. And I think the one that sticks out in my mind is one of my overseas coaches, Nenad Josipovic, really cared about the game. Like, he lived and breathed the game. He really cared about our improvement, right? I still remember end of season practice, he's breaking down a specific move. It was like a stride stop drive to the elbow, little ball fake, pivot away, a little controlled fade. That's what we were working on. And it was like an April end of season, towards the end of the season basketball practice, individual skill development. And myself, other guys are going through the drill, and he stops it, and he's very specific with how our footwork needs to be. And I was going into a drive to the elbow from the wing and then spinning and shooting a control fade. That's what I was doing. And he was like, no, I want it to be essentially more of like what a stride stop is into the shot. He was explaining like this situation, you need to get it off a little quicker and so on and so forth. He cared about my improvement, right? A lot of coaches are gonna say, hey, here's the move, and I could do it incorrectly. They're not gonna help me out. He cared about my improvement. And then caring about me as an individual. Right, that was the last coach that I played for when I was playing professionally, and him and a few other people knew that was the last game I was ever going to play, playing overseas, and it hurt a lot. I still remember my last game. We're signing autographs, last game of the season. Kids are going through. I'm like bawling my eyes out because I just can't believe like I'm done playing. And he comes up behind me, he gives me a hug, and he said, hey, you always be my player. You always be my player, right? And it was just little things like that in times of need that let me know, I was more than just an X's and O. I was more than just a player on the roster. He cared about my mental health, my well-being as a basketball player, and he understood the love, the care that I had for the game, and it made a really big impact on me. And that's something that I try to continue to do with the players that I continue to work with. So if you're a coach and you're trying to make a positive impact with others, care about the game, care about the growth, and care about the person.